Dear viewers, a very good morning to all of you. Today we will be discussing about Constitution of India and human trafficking. You know, till now we have discussed what is human trafficking, and we have also said that human trafficking is a crime against humanity. You know, we know that we have Constitution of India. This is the basis of all the laws. When we just discussed in the introduction that we have fundamental rights, from where do we get these fundamental rights? The fundamental rights come from the Constitution of India. So if we have Constitution of India, which is the core ethos of the country, which everybody follows, which everybody adheres to, then why do we have issues related to human trafficking? So today, if we discuss about the preamble to the Constitution of India, preamble is the soul of the Constitution. So whatever we aspired, whatever we wanted, because we gave this Constitution of India to us, we the people of India. So it was represented by all people across India, by all communities, and everybody discussed what to keep in the Constitution and what not to keep in the Constitution. So the preamble of the Constitution says India is a socialist state. Socialist state, then why do we have human trafficking? We understood that human trafficking is because of some vulnerability. So if the natural resources and man-made resources are equally distributed, if the employment avenues are equal to all, then why do we have issues of human trafficking? So in this we have understood that if there is a violation of the Constitution of India, that is the preamble to the Constitution, if the socialist pattern is not followed by the state, then we see that we have so many vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities in terms of poverty, in terms of quality education, in terms of depriving a person of the natural resources or the man-made resources, depravity in terms of the infrastructure which is available. We have an infrastructure which is available to all the Indians. So as we discussed that in terms of infrastructure, why do some states have 24 hours electricity, some have only 2 hours of electricity, and some are still waiting for the bulb to light. So we all are Indians, we all have this socialist pattern wherein all the resources should have been available to all. In terms of medical health, some can afford very good medical facility across India. Some are also deprived to have an access to the district hospital. Some die out of ignorance, out of poverty, because of quacks, because they are not able to reach to the hospitals. So if the hospital is 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers from my place, then how do I get this medical facility, which is a part of the Constitution of India, which talks about right to health being a part of Article 21 of the Constitution of India. Then we say in terms of infrastructure. Suppose if I have very good factories, very good school, colleges, universities, very good road infrastructure, very good means of communication, and very good employment opportunities. Is it there in all parts of the country? If it is not there, then as a welfare state, the state has to come forward and see to it that all the programs which have been implemented by the center and the state government has to reach to the grassroots. I say grassroots because maximum population lives in villages. So if we can have a public distribution system, workable public distribution system, accountable public distribution system, transparent public distribution system along with the infrastructure reaching to the roots, then we can say that India is a socialist state in true sense, because we all will enjoy whatever infrastructure we have together and will grow together. The preamble further ensures justice, which includes social justice, economic justice and political justice. If we talk about the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, then it is there. If we talk about Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, so both of these covenants are reflected in justice. But in real sense, it is very difficult to get social, economic or political justice for a person who has been trafficked. Social justice can only be achieved if there is a feeling of brotherhood, fraternity and implementation of the Constitution mandates. If the people are looking down upon the victims, as they are, traffickers or they are culprits, so a victim is not a victim but a culprit or a trafficker or a person who is accused of a crime, then what kind of brotherhood and fraternity we have for that person? What kind of respect and love we have for that person? So if you look down upon a person, then you can't talk about social justice. So we have to be compassionate towards people whose human rights are violated, whose constitutional rights are violated, and whose lot of legal rights are violated and tortured every second. So we don't have to look upon these persons, we don't have to mistrust them, we don't have to tell them that you are a criminal, but we have to understand the vulnerabilities and let them come out of that vulnerability as a state, so that they also lead a dignified life. So if the survivors are given some opportunity to come back to the society, to reintegrate and reform in the society, to rehabilitate in the society, then they will also be able to come and be a part of the society in a dignified way. So dignity and worth needs to be addressed of people who have been trafficked. And if we address this issue in terms of dignity and worth, if we address this issue in terms of being a victim or a survivor of a crime, then we will have that compassion, we will have a feeling of brotherhood, we will have the feeling of fraternity which is there in social justice, and then even the trafficking people will have social justice, which is very much there for all, all people of India have to have this social justice. But in cases of trafficking, we find that maybe we are not sensitive enough to the emotions, to the problems, to the vulnerabilities of these people who have been trafficked, and we tend to think them as somebody who should be out of the family, out of the society, out of the community. But in actual, we are violating the preamble of the Constitution of India. Economic justice. We can only get economic justice for a person who has been trafficked if we remove the vulnerability. So as a state, as a welfare state, when we talk about fifth generation of human right, the state has to ensure that the vulnerabilities are, removed, and people are given equal opportunity to develop and grow, irrespective of who they are, from where they belong to, what type of trafficking have they come out of, and what are their language constraints, their ethnicity issues, their culture, their traditions, because we all are Indians. I may be belonging from a particular state, but when it comes to the nationality, it is not of that state but of the country, which is India. So we all are Indians, and economic justice can only be ensured, if the vulnerability is removed, if we provide equal opportunity to grow and develop to all the people of India. And we have very good schemes by the government of India and by the state governments. We have very good implementation machinery at the state as well as the central level. We have, so many commissions to cater to the rights of the vulnerable people. It is that all the stakeholders have to come together and work as a team in a multi-dimensional approach. Quality education, proper skill-based training and availability of job at local level as per the choices and capabilities can also ensure economic justice in true sense. I do not have employment opportunities, so I have to just leave my village, leave my district and come out. So if I come out to a city to work without knowing anybody there, or if I go to a foreign land, then I may be vulnerable. If I have equal opportunity to grow and develop in my village, then I will work, earn my livelihood and live my life with dignity and worth, and there are very less chances of me being trafficked by somebody. When you move from one place to another, that is from transit, if you are moving to you're moving from the source place to the transit and into the destination, there the vulnerability comes because you don't know the people surroundings, you don't know the language also sometimes, and then you also live in a fear and totally you are dependent on the person who has brought you there. So if we can provide economic justice to the people where there are, if skill-based education can be there, if we have programs, because every family had a tradition for work. So if the traditions are inculcated in the generations, the younger generations, and they can just follow that and practice it, then we will not suffer from the problem of unemployment. So if unemployment is over, then vulnerability will also be checked. So we have to provide as a state, as a welfare state, the economic justice to all from where there are. Political justice is also very important, but if I am a person who has been trafficked, I don't have the right to vote. I don't have my say. I am not able to move out of that place where I have been kept in captivity. So I am not allowed to move, I am not allowed to vote, I am not allowed to express myself, neither I can anytime think about standing and winning an election. So I will just request you all that do not vote anybody on the basis of caste, creed, religion or other benefits. In a democracy, the people have lot of rights. Your vote matters a lot. You have a lot of power in terms of vote. So vote to right people. Vote to people who are transparent in their working. Vote to people who are committed while working, because lot of money is being given to them in terms of grants for development. So every constituency gets a grant. So if that can be used in the development of the people as per their local needs, then only the people will be able to take benefit out of that. So if I vote on the basis of merit of a person, on the basis of the capability of a person, then that person will also do some work. If I do not vote on the basis of merit, on the basis of the work done by the person at any level, at the panchayat level, or at the MLA election level, or at the MP election level, or at the time when ministers are chosen for my place, then if I have good people as MLAs and MPs, then I will have good representation in terms of ministers. So it is we the people of India who are choosing these people, and they are making laws and policies and getting it implemented by the system. So if we have good leaders, if we have, people who are committed towards the nation, towards the people in their state and in their constituencies, then only we will grow as a nation. Liberty of thought and expression is there. So we can follow any belief, we can follow any faith, and we can do worship. In India, we have to act with responsibility and diligence and respect all religions. Hate speeches and any other form of violation towards victims, survivors should be addressed strictly by the constitutional machinery under Article 32 and 226 of the Constitution of India. So if I, have a belief that somebody is a criminal, somebody is a blot to the society, or somebody is against my family reputation, then I need a counseling session by the psychologist, because nobody is imperfect and nobody is perfect in the world. It is, we the people of India make somebody imperfect or perfect. So if I talk about a person, if I look down upon a person, then Article 32 and 226 should come to rescue that person. And hate speeches, in any form should not be at all be allowed in India, because we follow the constitution ethos. Equality of status and opportunity to all, to assure this in cases of people who have been trafficked, the stakeholders have to work with commitment and dedication, and the rehabilitation schemes and the reintegration schemes, have to be victim centric. When we are talking about rehabilitating a person, we cannot say that, okay, you are a lady, you just need to cook, or you need to become a tailor. There are much more avenues for girls. So gender stereotype rehabilitative schemes will not work. Today, in the age where we are progressing, we are saying that we are in 5th generation of human rights, we cannot have this mindset. So let people choose their, employment opportunities. Let people decide that if they want to have a skill-based education, what should be their preference, and accordingly you have to make a plan. Then only that person will not be re-trafficked. Otherwise, if you have a set plan, if you have a plan which is applicable in all circumstances, in all cases to everybody in that scheme, then everybody will not fit and somebody will be re-trafficked later on. So if we have to address the issue of equality of status and opportunity to all, then we have to implement the rehabilitation schemes, keeping in view the interest of the victims and the survivors. And best is that you make them a party to the decisions. If I decide on my own what I want to become, how I want to become, then I will have my choices, my preferences, my commitment. But if you choose what I will do throughout my life, I may not work with commitment, or maybe after some time I may be deoriented and I say, sorry, I cannot do this. Fraternity, assuring the dignity of the victim has to be there. The state should ensure that fraternity and dignity of the individual is not compromised in any case of human trafficking, because it is a violation of the preamble, and it should be dealt strictly by the law implementing agencies, and there should be no face value considerations. We have equality before law and equal protection of law. So whoever commits a crime, whoever violates a person's dignity, or whoever violates the ethos of the Constitution of India, the soul we talk about Constitution of India, the preamble, the fraternity, if it is compromised, then should be handled strictly by the state. Article 14 talks about right to equality and it talks about equality before law and equal protection of law. So this right can only be there if due to illiteracy, vulnerability, lack of legal awareness, if we just remove all these things, then only we can have that yes, equality before law is there for people who have been trafficked. The vulnerability and ignorance of a person, deprives a person of this right. People are not aware of equality before law and equal protection of law, and they are so vulnerable, so they cannot make reasoned choices. So when you are not in a position to decide and take a decision which is in your benefit, then you are vulnerable. So it can only be ensured if we remove the vulnerability, if we provide quality education to all. That should also include legal education, because ignorance of law is no excuse. But with 2% or 3% of legal education in India, it is very difficult for a commoner to understand the Constitution of India. And this is why we have so many debates on the media. People don't know what is Constitution of India, and they are debating on whether they should have it or not. So first, make people aware about the Constitution of India. If a vulnerable person, if a victim or a survivor of human trafficking knows about the Constitution of India, he will not be abused. He will, his rights will not be violated by the so-called customers and traffickers. Sometimes, the stakeholders have to come together to implement the equality principles, because it is very important, if we do not implement the equality principles at the ground level, then somebody's equality rights are violated. And sometimes it happens that the trafficking person, that person who has been trafficked does not knows about his equality rights, because he's so much busy in getting food, shelter and providing the basic infrastructure for his family for survival. To die out of hunger, to be without food is a big issue. So just to address your issues, your daily issues, because you work and then you earn and sustain your family. So sometimes you are not aware about your equality rights. Article 15(1) says that the state will not discriminate against any citizen, on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth. So this needs to be followed in cases of people who have been trafficked, because they are also, Indians. Article 15(3) mentions that the state can make special provision for women and children, and that is why we have so good legislations in India. So we do not have dearth of legislation in India, but awareness about these legislations and implementation of these legislations are the need of the hour. Article 17 talks about abolition of untouchability, but we find that in some or other form untouchability is still practiced in India. So we need a stringent, implementation machinery, and all the cases should be disposed of by fast track courts, so that the violators are punished. Awareness program should be there at the local level, at the village level, about the untouchability issues and how untouchability is related to violating the constitutional articles, and it is a violation of your fundamental rights. So trained people should be handling the cases of untouchability, and false cases should also be handled strictly, so that this law is not misused. So we have to provide rights to people who have these issues, and then we have to also address the issues of false cases, because the misuse should not be there. The law should be implemented so that the person's right, the fundamental right, is not violated. And if that law is violated, if his right is violated, under Article 17. Then we have a machinery under Article 32 and 226. You can directly approach Supreme Court and High Court and get justice. Article 19 talks about right to freedom, and 19G says that the citizens have right to practice any profession or carry on any occupation, trade or business. This right is very important for a person who has been trafficked. You know, in terms of consent, how do I give my consent if, if that is by fraud, coercion, deception, by having control over me, by forcing me, by kidnapping me, by torturing me. So that is not consent as per the Indian Contract Act. So that should be also addressed. I as a commoner should understand that the person will not suffer so much if his rights are given to that person. If I am able to lead a life with dignity and worth, then I will not choose these occupations of hazardous occupations where my rights are violated and I have been tortured, abused by somebody every second. So this right is there. It is just we need to be aware. We have to have more avenues at the local level, at the village and the district level, so that we do not fall prey in the hands of traffickers. Today technology is not a barrier. So technology should be used to upgrade the facilities at the local level, and technology should be used to benefit the commoner. If we can use technology to benefit the commoner, then the cases of trafficking will reduce. It is very important that this right is there to ensure a person's dignity and worth. Article 21 talks about protection of life and personal liberty. It focuses on the dignity and worth of the individual. But what do you think that a person who has been trafficked, whether his dignity and worth can ever be protected? Till the state intervenes, till that person is rescued, till that person is rehabilitated, till that person is reintegrated in the society. So when you are purchasing a person, you are selling a person, then his dignity rights are abused every second. So we have to understand that Article 21 is for all. So right to life includes right to dignity and worth. So in cases of trafficking, they are not commodities to be sold and purchased. They are human beings, should be respected by all. Article 21A talks about right to education, free and compulsory education to all children below the age of 6 to 14. So this fundamental right is not available to children who are trafficked for labor, for sex, for pornography. So to have this right implemented, we should have all the laws, even the RTI Act, a Right to Education Act is there. But if we can implement the legislation properly at the villages, at the district, at the states, then we have quality education for all, and truly we will have this right realized. Article 23 talks about right against exploitation, and 23(1) prohibits traffic in human being and begar. But today also the Crime Records Bureau talks that this right has been violated. We have so many cases of human trafficking for different purposes, and we have to address this issue in a multi-dimensional approach amongst the stakeholders, creating awareness, addressing this issue with a multi-dimensional approach with commitment and dedication will, give this right to the people who have been trafficked or who are victims and survivors of trafficking. 24 says that the child below the age of 14 years should not be employed to work in any factory or mine or any hazardous employment. But we have seen children working in dhaba, children working, for organs, for drugs, for crimes, children being used as domestic help. So this also needs to be addressed because this is a violation of fundamental right. Article 32 can be, taken if your fundamental rights are violated. So if any of your fundamental rights are violated, do take care and be ready to have an access to the Supreme Court or the High Court directly. You have a provision of legal aid where the state judiciary or the Supreme Court will provide you, the High Court or the Supreme Court will provide you even a counsel. So do take care of your issues. Do understand that we have to fulfill our duties so that somebody's rights are not violated, and everybody is a human being. His or her rights should be not violated, and everybody has the right of dignity and worth. So do maintain your dignity and take care of other person's dignity. Thank you all for this session, and we will continue this in the next one.